Imagine one night being awakened by a terrible sound that is rarely heard, the scream of a panicked horse that's under attack. Dressing quickly and grabbing your rifle, you rush outside towards the sound, hoping to save the poor animal from what is obviously a puma attack. As you near the lake's edge, you are stunned to see something flat and round, pancake-like, and it has wrapped itself around the horse's legs, rolling it effortlessly toward the water's edge. Stunned, you watch helplessly as the poor animal is dragged, still crying out, into the dark depths, out of reach of any help you can give.
There have been reports of strange creatures in the area.
Witnesses say they couldn't believe what they were seeing.
Welcome, beloved fofers, doubters, naysayers, non-believers, and skeptics. Welcome to Paranormal, Fable, or Fact. I am Victor Trevino, joined by my co-host and beautiful wife, Tammy.
We are humble guides to tales of alleged hoaxes, unbelievable stories, and the overall strange.
Sweet. Okay, we gotta mention our email. It's pfableorfact@proton.me, and our Facebook page. Go there, like it, all that good stuff. And our YouTube channel. Please subscribe. We've been getting a lot more subscribers now because I went on Strange Familiars with Timothy Renner. Really cool dude. I've been listening to his podcast for a long time, but it was really good to talk to him. But anyway, just like and subscribe our YouTube. And we have an announcement, baby. Season 2, baby.
All right. Good.
And I was thinking about it, I'm like, well, it doesn't really make a difference.
It really doesn't. We're just
not
going to
really,
keep going.
It's not as important as I thought it was at first.
Yeah.
But it's still cool.
Yes.
Officially season 2.
Yeah. We're going into the second year.
Yeah,
and
year
that's
2.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, of course, the rules.
I thought I would have given up by now.
Wow. Really? Quit on me? Get another co-host, you jerk. So, of course, the rules are in the show notes, or will be. Now, the title of today's episode is The Raft.
Okay.
It's a play on an old Creepshow episode where these 4 teenagers went out to this lake and encountered this, blob thing floating around, and they got trapped on this raft. You know what I'm talking about, Creepshow?
I have no idea what the heck Creepshow is.
Wow. Well, anyway. Wow, I thought it was going to be all cool. And you're just like, wah, wah.
Oh, that's okay.
Now, we're going to be talking about a very obscure cryptid in Chile. It's called El Cuero, which is a carnivorous aquatic creature that resembles a cowhide, goat hide, or a sheet. Now, I thought that most depictions of it were wrong because they showed the cow markings on the fur. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, tanned hide, that's like smooth. But no, I've seen pictures of modern day tanned cowhides, and they do have the fur on them.
Yeah, they do.
So I guess we're talking about moo cow black and white, or moo cow brown and white, or solid brown, solid red, whatever. But it looks like a cowhide.
Yeah,
kind of fuzzy.
They use that for decor. They make, they'll use them for rugs or put them on their walls.
Put them on the wall, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like a southern style or something.
Yeah, southwestern.
So I was completely wrong about that. My idea of what a tanned hide, well, I'm not a tanner or anything, but still, I'm glad I looked it up because I would have made a fool of myself coming on here going, yeah, it's a smooth hide. That guy's wrong, At first, because one of my best friends that I've known for basically my whole life, he's like, you should do a show on it, man, because it's so obscure. I've never even heard of it. So I started looking into it, and I'm like, oh, man, I'm not going to be able to do a show on this. There's not enough info. I'm going to have to wait. But as I started looking into this, baby, started really digging into the Cuero, I started finding all kinds of stuff.
Where it gave you enough information to do a whole show,
We can easily do a whole show on it, and that's what we're going to do. First, we need to talk about the Mapuche people. They were originally referred to as the Araucanians by the invading Spanish, but today they consider the term Araucanians derogative.
Okay.
They consider it rude, that term. So now we're going to call them the Mapuche people. The collective group of the Mapuche makes up about 80% of all indigenous people in Chile and about 9% of the total Chilean population.
Maybe.
But they're all dressed up. It just gives you the idea of like the terrain, the landscape we're talking about. You can tell they're bundled up, so it's probably kind of cold.
There,
They're high up in elevation. And that's the thing with these lakes, baby, is we're going to be talking about they're very cold. It's a very cold environment year-round, but it gets freezing in the wintertime.
So this creature is like a cold water creature.
Yes, and that's, as we move further into the show, you're going to see why. So, one of the stories of the Cuero talks about this woman who's washing her clothes by one of the lakes, and her baby is just snoozing in the shade nearby. According to her, and I don't know what village this was, it might just be an urban legend, who knows, the creature, this Cuero, this hide, which I guess we should have went into what it looked like, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, this is what we're looking at. It's basically a hide, and this depiction has the eyeballs like on stalks and stuff. I didn't see anything where the eyeballs were on stalks. It's actually like just on the dorsal part of the animal, basically in the center, and I've heard up to 4 eyes. And around the ring of this thing, the hide is circular, like a pancake. And around the edges, it has these claws, hooks, or teeth.
Right.
So going back to the story of this poor lady and her baby, it came out of the water like a crocodile, just burst forth, grabbed the child, and just went whoosh, right back into the water. But when she's just sitting there helpless, and starts to dive into the water, desperately looking for her child to no avail. That's one of the stories.
Wow.
Which is terrible.
That is terrible. So they can crawl on land.
Yeah, they can move around on land. They talk about it sunning. We'll go into that as we move on.
Okay.
Now, there's a myth about this creature talking about how you can kill it if there's one particularly aggressive and it's bothering people in the area or it's killing too many animals. They'll throw the branches of what's called the Coisco cactus into the water. And apparently the creature will attempt to seize the cactus and injure itself. And sometimes bleed to death. Or, it'll injure itself and basically leave you alone. One story talks about this heroic youth named Nyanko, who successfully confronted a Cuero, I guess, that was terrorizing his village. He held Coisco branches in both hands and tied Coisco cactus to his legs, and then bravely jumped in the lake as bait, and this thing came and grabbed him, injured itself, and basically died. And that's how he saved the village.
Did he survive?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So as you can see, lots of I don't know how he was holding it. He must have shaved a...
Yeah, that would hurt you.
Yeah.
If you're putting that on you. There's no...
But do you see what I mean? He maybe carved out, cut it in half and put the pulp...
Wore it like armor?
Yeah. Basically kind of wrapped the pulp around his legs and then held it from the inside maybe.
Yeah.
And then that way it was, when it tried to grab him, it got injured, but, the spikes were, he was good.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, but that's what we're talking about. Lots and lots of little tiny, probably like the little barbs, so the underside of this thing would probably get injured somehow.
It reminds me of those, what are those little sticky things that get in your socks when you go outside?
Oh, the burrs?
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. Right? Little burrs on it.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Oh, those hurt.
So moving on to the next red flag, and I hesitate to even call them red flags, because this is more just the research and the stuff that I found out about, the points of interest about this cryptid. There's another story of a man named Ramil. Apparently, this guy was going through the region and found this 80-year-old man who told him this story that he saw when he was a young kid. So it happened back in like the early 1900s. This guy Ramil's riding his horse. Apparently, the Cuero came out of the water, spooked the horse bucks. Ramil goes flying, of course, falls on the ground, and the horse took off, leaving the poor guy laying there, probably injured. The Cuero grabbed him, wrapped itself around him, and rolled him into the water. Now, the thing that stuck out in this guy that's recounting the story's mind is that people accidentally drowned in the lake all the time. Not a big deal, right? Their bodies always washed ashore. This man, Ramil, was never seen again.
Wow.
So he just...
I wonder, because it's like a blanket, I wonder if it wraps itself and then it just eats its prey, like, completely. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I saw some reports that it has like a... Well, I think that's one of the red flags, but it could be vampiric in a way. It'll drain the blood and then eat the meat or whatever. I don't know. It's an unknown... It's a cryptid, so...
Yeah.
Moving on to the next point, the stories of this cryptid have been told by the Mapuche and the Tehuelche people in northern Patagonia, Chile. Now, I didn't know where Patagonia was. It's like a region of mountains, basically. And in that region, there are lakes all over the place. Beautiful, beautiful lakes. But there you go.
Man, that's gorgeous. Those lakes are gorgeous up there.
Right. And you can see how cold it is.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So... that was another thing, and I don't know if I put this in my notes or the points of interest, but there's not really a lot of debunking going. As a matter of fact, I couldn't find really any signs of debunking. It's more, there's not a dispute whether the creature exists or not.
Okay.
And I think it's because the lakes are so remote and so cold, they haven't been explored probably as much as biologists would like to explore it, you know what I mean?
Right.
Plus, if it's remote.
Yeah.
Some of the lakes are not very easy to get to, etc., etc.,
Yeah.
So I didn't really find a lot of debunking going on. Mostly what it is what they think it might be.
Okay.
So, and we'll get into that as we go on to the theories. Now, the thing is that the people, and I think this is the Mapuche, they believe it's what's called a huacuva, which is like an evil spirit or a demon, or a physical representation of one. So they don't even, some of the people, the Mapuche people, don't even think it's a physical creature, that it might be some kind of spirit or symbol that lives out there. And if you get too close to the water, it'll just...
Oh, like a water spirit that protects the lake?
To protect the lake, or it's territorial,
maybe.
or whatever. They look at it as very aggressive and very dangerous. They don't... And that's one of the only... And that's not really debunking in my opinion, but the only thing I could see that people were being dismissive of it was kind of like, well, that's just a cautionary tale to keep their kids away from the lakes. Oh, don't go over there, the Cuero will get you.
Oh, yeah.
And we've seen this before,
Yeah.
Which is a good explanation. I'm not going to argue against that, but it's been seen. It's been reported.
Yeah.
And not just by the locals. There have been scientists that have gone out there and mentioned it. There have been writers, authors that are mentioned. In fact, the next point of interest, Felipe Gomez de Vidaurre, it was called The Geographical History, that was written in 1789, mentions the creature. So he's talking about the geographic area of Chile, and he actually mentions this creature all the way back in the 1700s.
Wow.
It is described by Juan Ignacio Molina, who believed it was a giant ray. And in his essay on the natural history of Chile that was written in 1810. So again, here's a writer, and he mentions it.
So they've been seeing this creature
for a very long
for
time.
years, for
Yes.
hundreds of years.
Yes.
Wow.
And remember that idea that it might be a ray, because remember, rays are kind of round,
Yeah.
they're kind of flat.
Yeah.
It might be a good explanation,
Yeah, it
right?
could be, yeah.
I don't know if rays are fuzzy like a cowhide, but
Yeah.
who knows? It might be an unknown species. Maybe it has fur because it's so cold. I don't know.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, so Melina, the next point of interest is he thought it might have been an unknown species of a large, humongous, unknown manta. And there are freshwater rays in Chile and in Argentina, because I guess Patagonia is part of Argentina as well.
Okay.
But the rays aren't found in these lakes. There's been a fisherman, and we're going to talk about him later because he's the one that took a photo, or supposedly took a photo of a cuero. Mm-hmm. But he insists that he's seen freshwater rays, but I don't think anybody from academia, scientists, have ever found freshwater rays up there. So who knows what the guy was saying? Maybe he was seeing his cuero and saying, "Oh, I saw a freshwater ray." We don't know.
But in the world, there's been freshwater rays.
Oh, there's freshwater rays all over the world.
Freshwater rays.
And they're massive. You can see the guy's knee,
Yeah,
baby.
yeah.
They're massive. That
Yeah.
one's actually small.
Okay.
Baby, there's some that are, take up an entire room. They're massive.
wow. Okay.
Massive, powerful creatures. And this is a photo of one. Now, the thing is the reason they're not found where these people are seeing the cuero, it's too cold. Rays need tropical water. They don't live in very cold water.
Okay.
So that's why there's a lot. That's why that the only dispute against it might not be a ray. Plus, I don't know if a ray would come out of the water for prey. I couldn't find any footage of that, and I couldn't find any reports of that. So, but anyway, I don't want to get too much into it because we're going to talk about it later.
Okay.
Again, he describes it as flat and circular, like an extended bovine hide. He thought it was a monstrous species of unknown manta. Some stories about the cuero having a sharp proboscis or beak underneath it that it stabs its prey to suck out all the blood and internal organs. But remember that idea that maybe it has a beak underneath it. Mm-hmm. Because we're going to talk about that in the conclusions, and as we move on to the show and the other theories about what it might be, we're going to come back to that.
Okay.
The edges of this flat cryptid are said to be lined with claws or hooks. We already talked about that.
Right.
But that's apparently what it uses to grasp its prey. And apparently once it gets a hold of you, you can't get away.
Wow.
The 4 large eyes on the dorsal part of the body, we already talked about that, so we're moving on. It lives in the deep waters of the lakes on the bottom and some of the inlets, which is interesting to me. But sometimes, like some sort of amphibian, it comes on shore to bask in the sun.
Wow.
And that's when people see this thing laying there.
Yeah.
Like a hide. And they're
Yeah.
like, hey, look at that cowhide laying over there.
Yeah.
And apparently you'll go over there and look at, hey, did somebody leave their leather laying around or whatever?
Right.
And it'll grab you,
Maybe it uses it to hunt.
I don't know, but the idea that it could come on land
Yeah.
is, I think, what stumps a lot of people.
Yeah.
It is said to be very aggressive and very dangerous, dragging people and presumably other edible animals that get too close to the lake's edge into the water to eat them. It is said to wrap itself around its prey, constricting it, and dragging the victim to the bottom in order to devour it. It is described as very strong and fearless, powerful enough to drag a horse into the water, which is going back to the intro I did.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They've actually watched one of these things. Some of the stories talk about how it will grab a horse and roll the horse right into the water.
So they must be really big because a horse is a big creature.
I couldn't find any size comparisons of the cuero, but it's said to be pretty large. I mean, a hide's pretty big, baby. It's like
Yeah, that's true.
it's like a larger than a small blanket. It's
Yeah.
decent size.
Yeah.
If it's a little larger than that, depending on what it is, it could be powerful enough to drag it into the water, I think.
Well, I'm just saying, horses are big creatures, and I'm scared of horses.
You're scared of horses?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, you told me about that traumatic experience you
Yeah,
had.
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, we'll move on. But we have to remember that description, baby, of it being strong enough and fearless enough to attack a horse. I looked up, because I'm curious. I looked up ray and manta-type species. And about the only one I could find besides stingrays, of course, that could potentially be dangerous to humans are sawfish.
You said sawfish?
Yeah, sawfish. You know what a sawfish is.
Do I?
This is in captivity, of course. They're feeding the sawfish pieces of fish, but you can see how it's using that saw to chop the fish into pieces. Now, sawfish get pretty large, baby. But when it comes to people, they'll pretty much just avoid you. In fact, I believe they're on the endangered species list. And if you're a fisherman and you actually hook one, they say you're supposed to carefully, don't get injured by that saw, but you're supposed to carefully unhook it and release it. See how it just chops?
Yeah, is that a type of shark?
It's a ray. Yeah, rays, sharks, mantas are all the same species.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It doesn't have teeth, though. It uses that. There's other foot. I just wanted to show you that it does use that saw as a weapon.
Yeah.
There's actually a footage I saw of one of these things that's laying there, and there's little fish swimming by in a tank like this. In fact, I think it was extended footage of this. And as the fish is swimming by it just like darts its head real quick, the sawfish, and batters the fish on top like tonking it on the head.
Yeah.
From the underside of that saw.
Right.
And boom, and the fish is just like, ooh, all dazed, and he eats it.
Yeah.
Sucks it in his mouth and swallows it real quick.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's about the only, besides stingrays, of course, that are potentially dangerous to humans. But again, stingrays, mantas, and sawfish, they don't want anything to do with this. They don't actively hunt people. In fact, rays don't even have sharp teeth. They have blunt teeth that are used to crush like crustaceans and stuff because that's what they eat. So they don't even have teeth. And then they have baleen in their gills because some of them are filter feeders. I think that's the difference between a ray and a manta. I think manta are filter feeders, but don't quote me on that. But anyway, they don't bother people. In fact, you've seen this footage of those massive manta rays and the people are swimming next to them like they do whale sharks.
Yeah.
They're completely harmless.
Yeah.
They're not aggressive to people at all. So that's the only thing, if you're going to talk about a ray, it kind of stumps me. But again, if it's an unknown species, who knows? Maybe it is aggressive. I don't know.
Yeah.
There was a photo, and we talked about this earlier. It's a fisherman named Rene Zucker. He took, apparently, a photo of El Cuero in January of 2014. But the quality of the photo, and we're going to show it right now, is horrible, unfortunately. Now, I heard someone try to say that it was some kind of fish. That looks like a manta ray to me.
Yeah.
It looks like a manta ray swimming down from the surface.
Yeah.
But apparently this guy says that was a cuero. So, what does it look like?
Looks like a ray.
Again, it's distorted. He's aiming the camera down into the water from the surface from his boat, probably.
Right.
That's why it's all distorted. There's reflections on the water.
Yeah.
So, again, horrible.
Yeah, it looks like a manta ray.
That looks like a manta ray, but what would a manta ray be doing
In fresh water.
in these lakes? Right.
Yeah.
Landlocked lakes, baby.
Who knows?
Oh, I shouldn't even say landlocked because they might feed into other lakes. I don't know. But they're not supposed to live in cold water like this. Well, baby, we're talking about just above freezing water. I think it was like 40 degrees Fahrenheit or something.
Oh, yeah, that's cold.
30 to 45 degrees Fahrenheit. Like
Yeah, that's cold.
That's in the summertime.
Yeah, but who's to say? I mean, we don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, like we've said in the past, we don't know what creatures are out there.
The thing is if he's seeing a ray in these lakes, again, it's still an unknown species. We don't know what we're talking about.
Right.
And who knows how large that was. There's no scale.
No.
I mean, that thing could be 6 inches across.
Right.
Really.
Right.
Realistically. And I'm not condemning the guy, Rene Zucker. I'm not, like, getting on him or anything. I know he probably just, desperately scrambled for his camera, grabbed it, and took a picture.
Right.
But
I mean, we've all been there, we see something, and we're like, oh, let's take a picture, and the picture's awful. So
how many times do you see something unfolding and you're like all stunned and shocked and awe by it? You don't even think to pull out your camera. Our generation, baby. But the newer generation?
Oh, yeah, they're on it.
Phone.
They're on it.
Immediately.
Yeah,
it's almost like a second reaction to them.
Yeah.
But to us it wasn't because we didn't walk around with cameras.
Right.
So
That's that texting generation. They could text with their eyes closed and take pictures with their eyes closed.
yeah, and they do it.
Fast.
So unfortunately, if there was a younger person out there, they probably would have got a pretty good photograph of it. But
Yeah.
Rene was probably fishing,
Yeah.
and oh, there it is. And he grabs his camera, and
Yeah.
by the time he took the picture, it's already swimming down away from his
it's
boat.
gone.
So,
Yeah, it's gone.
but I thought it was fascinating that someone actually took a photo. Now, we're going to get into the theories of what this thing could be.
Okay.
One theory, and I'm just going to say it outright, this is probably the theory that I support the most, is that it could be an unknown species of cephalopod, and that is squid, octopus. The idea of a Humboldt squid was introduced noting the flatness of its body and its aggressive predatory nature, and the strength to easily drag prey into the depths. In Mexico, they call the Humboldt squid Diablo Rojo, which is Red Devil. They tell of stories of people who fall into the water and are devoured within minutes by these packs of these squids. Now, here's when I said that I didn't run into a lot of debunking, but I did run into some, because this is so stupid to me. The scientists refute the aggressive behavior claim, saying, oh, it's not aggressive. It was provoked because the person was probably wearing some type of reflective gear. Like a floating device, or, they were wearing a vest, flotation vest or eyeglasses or something like that. Now, I thought that the only reason I think that's nonsensical and dumb to even, why would you even say that? Like, that proves that the squid's not aggressive. So it's the person's fault they were wearing eyeglasses when they fell in the water, not the squids? Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. If you're wearing something reflective and a bear comes and kills you, are they going to say, well, that bear's not aggressive, it's just you provoked it by wearing your eyeglasses? What?
Yeah, no, that's not a good excuse.
Does that make sense to you?
No, not at all.
Plus, I've watched shows where they're trying to capture, they were actually trying, I think it was Monster, crap, I can't think of the name of that show. Monster Quest. Remember that old show?
Fish on?
No, Monster Quest.
Oh,
Where
yeah.
they went all over the world and looked for cryptids.
Yeah.
There was an episode where they were trolling this, bait. I think it was a dead squid behind their boat, and that's when they actually captured, one of the first times on film, this colossal squid coming toward it.
Wow.
Gonna eat it. They basically could see the eye shine under the water. Really hard to see and everything, but it's a massive squid.
Yeah.
Aggressive.
Yeah.
What's reflective on a dead squid? Maybe it's eyes, but who knows what they see?
Yeah, exactly.
But apparently, when the reason they talk about this is because octopus are curious when divers and stuff are wearing something reflective or they're using lights to see under the water. Octopus actually come over and kind of check them out. Sometimes trying to grab the reflective surface.
Oh, I didn't know that.
What I'm saying is that they don't attack divers. They're
just curious.
They're curious because if an octopus actually attacked you, it could hurt you.
It could hurt you. Yeah.
In fact, some octopus and some squid are venomous. So if it bites you, it could kill you.
Interesting.
A lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about it being a squid, baby. Can squid come to shore? Can a squid actually go up on land, come out of the water, grab prey, and drag it back into the water? I don't know if a squid could do that.
Yeah, I don't know it either.
Now, here's the thing about still staying on the cephalopods. Octopus can easily travel on land and have been observed doing so.
No, they can't.
There's even footage of one attacking a crab and dragging it back into the water.
No way.
Boom.
Oh my gosh.
Look at how fast it is. Did you see how quick it darted?
Yeah.
And the person filming is like, whoa, what's going on? I think it's a lady.
Wow, and it stayed on the
And look what it's doing. It's dragging the crab back to the water.
Whoa.
Look how it's engulfed around the crab. Do you see how it kind of wrapped itself around the crab? See, that's why, to me, if this thing is a cephalopod, I think it makes sense that it's some type of unknown octopus. And when we get into the inarguable truths, we'll talk about that more.
I didn't think octopus could do that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And look at how quick it was, baby. You know how fast crab are. If that was, let's say that was the octopus, because you can tell that octopus is kind of small. If that octopus was massive, baby, and it was hungry enough, and the crab was a person, you would have never been able to get away.
There's no way.
There's no way you could fight that thing off. It would easily drag you into the water, and you'd be done.
Even a horse.
Even a horse. Yeah, if it's big enough and aggressive enough. But that's the argument against it being an octopus, is that, well, octopus aren't really aggressive. You know, so how could you say that or whatever? So see, he sees an octopus, the diver's shining his light at it. This was what they're talking about when they get curious about reflective stuff. See, he's got a flashlight as well. That's a woman diver. She goes, oh no, don't get away from me, and she kind of swims away from it, and the octopus settles down. But then they're filming it. It's a pretty big octopus, and they're still using their lights. Now this guy's not paying attention. He's filming something else, and the octopus starts to creep over to him. Look how slowly it's advancing.
Yeah.
He's not paying attention. He's looking through his camera, and boom, it grabs him. Grabs the camera though. See?
Oh,
it's grabbing.
heck no.
If you look, baby, it's grabbing the camera.
Yeah.
Probably because of the light.
But wouldn't you say that was aggressive?
I don't think so, baby, because it wasn't a danger to the diver.
Mm-hmm.
And if you watch it again, there's no... See, it's not attacking them. It's just swimming. They're looking at it because they're curious, and just like them, it's curious about them, of course, because how often does it see people under the water, baby? So, and then it sees these lights, and it's like, hey, look at that light. Huh. But my thing is, though, is let's say they didn't have lights. Let's say they weren't wearing reflectors, because you can see they're wearing reflective stuff. They have a lot of lenses on them. They have a lot of, the fluorescent lines so that they can easily be seen under the water. There's shiny parts on their tanks and on their masks. You know what I mean? Let's say all of that was subdued. Are you going to tell me that an octopus still wouldn't get curious and come over and might grab at you or something?
Look how fast they are.
Yeah. Oh, they're predators,
so slow,
baby.
and then they get fast.
They're predators. They're ambush predators. That's the thing. So, moving on. Some believe it could be a freshwater ray. We already talked about that.
Yeah.
But they're rarely seen in the Patagonia area because of the cold temperatures. So that kind of squashes that one, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. That's pretty serious. Of course, if it's an unknown, but going further in, baby, let's say it's an unknown species of ray, and somehow it adapted to live in cold water and thrive in cold water, right? Can rays like a stingray or a sawfish or something like that, can they come on shore and grab something and easily drag it back into the water the size of a horse?
Well, I don't know.
I mean, what could it grab onto the prey with?
Well, and what's getting me is the constricting. You said that like 3 times, and constricting. I see the octopus doing a constrictive kind of
wrapping
move,
itself around
but
the prey.
I don't see like how you said that sawfish. I didn't see it constricting anything.
Yeah, it's not going to wrap itself around the victim, right? Completely different type of feeding behavior,
exactly.
including ray. Ray don't wrap itself around its
Right.
prey; it just scoops it in its mouth.
Right.
That's why, to me, the ray thing just falls short, because even if it is, let's say the ray is like mutated or something, and it has claws or hooks around its wings, those are fins. It doesn't have the control of its body to engulf someone.
Yeah.
Even if it could grab you with its wings.
Right. Yeah.
That's like it's like describing a shark trying to grab somebody with its flippers.
Yeah.
The flippers move.
Yeah.
Or its tail, they move, but it doesn't have the
grip.
The capacity to grab something, right? Now again, unknown species, who knows? Maybe it's some kind of mutated ray, I don't know. I'm just saying that one kind of, to me, falls kind of short. Another interesting theory is it might be some type of jellyfish. That's pretty interesting. But the thing is that jellyfish use stinging cells in their tentacles or their trailers or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
But again, the thing with jellyfish, baby, is they're marine creatures. I don't even know if they come close to shore, in the shallows. I think they stay out on the water.
Yeah.
And there's never been any reports of them being aggressive to people, like actively hunting people. Go ahead, ask.
I don't... It's a blah, 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 blah. Are jellyfish in fresh water?
Yes.
Oh.
And there you go.
Oh.
I don't know how big they are.
See, that kind of looks like your whole your Cuervo.
No, it's not.
Cuervo.
Cuervo, really? It doesn't. I think they're pretty small.
Oh, okay.
And I don't think they like I said, they don't actively hunt people, baby. Yeah,
They're small.
Well, that's a different species.
Yeah, they're too
that I'm
small.
looking at. But this one, I think they're,
Yeah.
pancake size or something. But again, we're talking about an unknown species, baby. If it's some type of mutant jellyfish. But see, they float around. You'd see them. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah, because you said that it stays in the deep.
Yeah, it goes in the deep water, and I think that's why there's, they don't know a lot about it.
Yeah.
Another theory, and this one's out there, is it could be some type of evolved sea scorpion, which is a species that went extinct millions of years ago.
Whoa.
Now, I don't know, it's got the claws, it was predatory. You can see it's large, it's predatory. But to me, it doesn't look like a hide. I think it was like a crustacean. You know what I mean? It had a shell.
Yeah, it looks like a giant bug.
So people would say it was a bug, not
Yeah.
a hide.
Yeah.
And probably have a different name, you know what I mean? But if it's mutated or evolved, who knows,
Yeah.
I don't know about that one, because I don't know. And I don't think sea scorpions lived in really cold water. Because back then everything was really hot, really warm. The whole planet was warm.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they could even survive in that cold water again. So now we're to our favorite part of the show, baby, the inarguable truths. So, number 1, cephalopods are surprisingly strong.
Number 2, cephalopods will and can travel on land to attack prey.
Number 3, squid suckers are covered by teeth or hooks.
Number 4, not only can cephalopods live in very cold water, they can actually thrive in it.
Number 5, jellyfish and rays can live in fresh water, but cephalopods cannot.
Number 6, there's a similar creature reported in another country.
Perfect. So let's move back to cephalopods are surprisingly strong. Everything I looked up, baby, when it referenced to the size comparison to squid and octopuses, they're surprisingly strong. A decent-sized octopus or squid could easily overpower a person underwater. Easily. One sucker of a giant Pacific octopus can hold up 35 pounds.
Wow.
One sucker, baby. So, very powerful animals. If it grabbed a hold of you without help underwater, it could easily drown you.
Yeah.
If not, kill
you. Yeah, it could take you down.
Even if it wasn't attacking you or hunting you, if it just grabbed you out of curiosity and held you, there's no way you're going to get back to the surface, and it could drown you. So that's pretty much all I wanted to... Because remember, back when we were first going over the red flags, one of the descriptions is how strong these things are. Yeah. If it's a large specimen of some type of octopus or something, it could easily be strong enough to grab a horse, baby. If it's 2 or 3 times the size of your average giant Pacific octopus...
Yeah.
And it grabs, it's going to drag the horse like nothing.
Oh, yeah, it could grab the suckers can hold that much pounds, plus the constricting of the...
Yeah, it's going to wrap its tentacles around you, and it's going to drag you right into the water.
Yep.
So, I think we covered that one enough.
Yeah.
Inarguable truth number 2, which is cephalopods will and can travel on land to attack prey. We watched the footage of it attacking that crab.
Yeah, I didn't think that could happen.
Rays can't travel on land. Neither can jellyfish.
Okay.
So that's why I'm leaning towards it's some type of unknown cephalopod. Number 3, squid suckers are covered by teeth or hooks. Now, I didn't know, baby. I didn't know this. That's one of the definitions. It's one of the differences between squid and octopus. Octopus have like rings, and they actually use suction with muscles underneath their suckers to grab stuff. Squid don't. Squid have teeth. Look at that.
Yeah, wow.
That's what their tentacles are lined with. So if it grabbed you with something like that,
yeah, that would tear you up.
And keep that in mind, baby. If it's an unknown species of squid or octopus, and you see those things hanging out of the sides of it,
Yeah. Yeah.
Hooks or claws on the outer
Looks
rings
like
of
a
it.
hook to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's not the only photo I have. This is actually on a tentacle. Look at that.
Oh, yeah. That looks like hooks to me.
Yeah. Or teeth or claws or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's what it grabs its prey with, baby. It wraps its tentacle around you. You're not going to get away. If it's big enough, it'll easily drag you in the water. There's no way, without chopping its arm off. You know, if you don't have an axe on you or whatever, or a knife, you're screwed.
Yeah.
It's going to drag you around in the water, and there's not going to be anything you can do about it. So I think, to me, the reason I put this unarguable truth in there is because that might be an explanation as to why people are describing it having these hooks or claws on the outside of it if it's an unknown species. Now I want to show you something that's going to trip you out, baby. This is what's called a Dumbo octopus. It's pretty cute, huh?
Yeah.
It even has, the skin is even textured like an octopus, or an
Yeah,
octopus,
like
like
a
an
elephant.
elephant's.
Yeah.
So they call it a Dumbo octopus. The only reason I'm showing you this is because I'm trying to show you, even now, known species of octopus are so diverse, baby.
Yeah.
They're so diverse and so strange looking. Is it so far-fetched to think that maybe there's one that's just kind of flat and is aggressive and will actually come out of the water and attack people? What do you think of that? It's kind of cute, huh?
Yeah. What a strange creature.
Yeah, and you can see it's on the bottom. It's deep in the water.
Deep in the water.
Yep. I don't know how big they are. I think they're kind of small.
Yeah.
It looks kind of small, huh?
Yeah.
But cute, right?
Well, I wouldn't say cute, but
All octopus and squid are aggressive predators, baby. When it comes to prey, they are very aggressive. They will go right into the holes. They'll go after crabs with their big, huge claws and everything. It don't matter. An octopus will tear a crab up.
okay.
And intelligence, baby. There's actually footage of octopus figuring out how to unscrew jars to get to food inside the jar. I mean, they're very intelligent creatures.
Okay.
Now, this is the one. Here's another one. Now, this one's going to trip you out. This is what's called a blanket octopus. You just see it swimming along. Now, watch this. It's got a membrane that it can unroll. Look at that.
Whoa. Wow.
That's why it's called the blanket octopus. But look at the flat body. The spots on the underside of it, people could say that if you saw just a fleeting glimpse of that thing,
Yeah.
you might think those are eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, you
Right?
would. Yeah. Uh-huh.
But just the fact that, and I don't know how large blanket octopus are either, but if we're talking about some type of unknown species or a mutated species, look at how different, these are both octopus, baby. Look at how different they are. Most people probably never even seen a blanket octopus. I never have. Look at that. So is it so far-fetched, baby, that this might be some type of freshwater unknown octopus? And we're going to talk about the whole freshwater thing,
Okay.
because that's one of the inarguable truths. Now, I
Okay.
want to show you one last one here.
Okay.
This is called a vampire squid. And even though it's called a vampire squid, and you can see the membranes between the tentacles, again, it actually uses that to wrap around its prey, and you'll see that here pretty quick. The thing about this species, baby, is even though they call it a vampire squid, it's actually closer related to an octopus. This particular species is not quite, that's the underside of it. Look at that. Look like hooks or claws,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
If it flattened out, it would look like a blanket. See how it engulfs? Right there, it's holding prey. It actually engulfs its prey, just like they're describing the Guedo doing.
And this is a squid?
No, it's, see how it's flat right there?
Whoa.
Kind of like a hide, isn't it? A blanket?
Yeah.
Kind of round,
Yeah.
with hooks on the outer edges.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
And what is that again?
This is called a vampire squid, but it's
Oh,
not.
it is a squid.
It's not quite a squid, and it's not quite an octopus.
Okay.
It's actually in between. It's more closely related to an octopus.
Oh, there's its eye.
Yeah, it's opening and closing its eye. Look at how weird it is.
Yeah.
How strange it is. And that's why I wanted to show you this, because
Strange creatures.
just the different
Yeah.
species of octopus.
And the different shapes that it can form.
So what I'm saying is that how can we just make this blanket, excuse the pun, blanket notion of just, it's probably just nothing there. It's just, most people don't, baby. I think that's why people are kind of quiet on this and not trying to debunk it.
Yeah.
Because look at how many different kind of species of squid and octopus there are, baby. The idea that this thing might exist, I don't think it's disputed. Again, what's mostly disputed is what it is. And I'm leaning towards a cephalopod.
Yeah.
It just makes sense.
Yeah.
If this thing is ticking all the boxes it engulfs, you can see right there.
Yeah.
It's got the hooks on the, or what could be described as hooks on the outer edge. Look.
Yeah.
On the outer edges of its body if it's flat.
Yeah.
It's got the large eyes.
Yeah, and who's to say it won't come in different colors?
And we know octopus will come on land. We've
Yeah.
seen footage of that.
And now we have.
So,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
basically what I'm leaning towards. But now, so let's move on to the next argument of truth with it, which is not only can cephalopods live in very cold water, they can actually thrive in it. The California two-spot octopus can alter their RNA, their ribonucleic acid, in their bodies. And it's a molecule that involves the production of proteins in response to cold water. This allows them to adjust their cellular processes to maintain function at lower temperatures. We're talking about freezing water, baby.
Yeah.
Even colder than what we're talking about in the lakes. We're talking about Arctic conditions. In fact, there is an octopus called the Arctic octopus. I didn't even know it existed. But they thrive. Cephalopods use hemocyanin, a copper-based protein in their blood, to carry oxygen. While less efficient than hemoglobin, hemocyanin can be particularly effective in cold water and help cephalopods adapt to lower oxygen levels at depth.
Oh, so when they're deeper.
Deep in under the water, the water's freezing. So they're built for it, basically.
Yeah.
So again, when we talk about the rays and the jellyfish maybe not being able to take that cold water, cephalopods can.
Oh.
They're built for it, you know? Some cephalopods, like the jumbo squid, can survive freezing temperatures and oxygen-deprived waters by slowing down their metabolic rate and entering a state of suspended animation.
Wow.
So they actually go into like a state of suspended animation and just sit there in freezing water until the water warms up again and they can start moving again, and they won't die.
Wow.
So even in talking icy conditions, baby, cephalopods can survive.
That's crazy.
Again, ticking all the boxes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Moving on, inarguable truth number 5. Jellyfish and ray can live in freshwater, but cephalopods cannot. Now, this is the only huge wrench in the works of it being an unknown cephalopod or undiscovered cephalopod. Cephalopods lack the sodium-potassium pumps found in freshwater and land animals, which help regulate the balance of sodium and potassium in the body. This difference of osmoregulation makes it impossible for cephalopods to survive in fresh water. Basically what it does, moving on, cephalopods use their gills to extract oxygen from the water and filter out excess salt in seawater. In freshwater, this system that it uses would work in reverse, causing the body to become overhydrated, lose its essential salts, and ultimately it would die. And then the last one, and I think this one's kind of weak. There's no evolutionary pressure for cephalopods to develop the adaptations needed to live in freshwater because they've thrived in marine environments for millions of years. True, but weak. Because we don't... Do you remember those stories, baby, of fish raining out of the sky?
Yeah.
That's because storms scoop up water.
Yeah.
The fish are transported up into the sky, freeze, and then rain down somewhere else.
Yeah.
What if this happened to, like, baby squid or baby octopus out in the ocean?
Yeah.
They're like little polyps. So what if, these little baby octopus are swimming out in the ocean, they're scooped up in the air, Normally, the freezing process of being way up in the atmosphere would kill fish, but we know cephalopods can slow down the metabolic rate and enter a state of suspended animation. So it carries it over the mountains, rains down fresh water, and these little polyps have to adapt or they're going to die in the fresh water. Since they're babies, is it crazy or way out there to assume or to just entertain the idea that maybe they slowly adapted to fresh water
Yeah.
and were able to survive?
Yeah.
We're just talking about a process of gills, baby. How
Yeah.
the gills work. If the octopus, I mean, look at how alien octopus are anyway.
Yeah, they
If
are.
it could alter the way its gills work, they might not die.
Right.
Right now, I would love to see, and this would be cruel to the octopus, but I would love to see an experiment where they threw an octopus into a freshwater tank just to watch it go and die.
Yeah.
Is it possible the octopus could thrive?
Yeah,
I don't think
adapt.
scientists would do. Well,
No.
maybe they would. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But if it had to adapt, could it? They're survivors, baby. Again, going back to their own argument, they've thrived for millions of years in a marine environment.
Yeah.
They're survivors, baby. Is it so far-fetched to think that maybe one of them adapted to live in fresh water?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I really don't. So now we're getting to the mic drop, baby.
Yep.
In Arguable Truth number 6, there is a similar creature reported in another country. It's called the shiju. The shiju is described in China as being flat and round like a mat or a woolen blanket. It is described as reddish in color with a soft green fur tinge to it that may be algae that grows on top of it.
Oh, okay.
The 9th century work, Miscellaneous Morsels from Yu Yang, Duangcheng Shi, describes an attack of an animal resembling a shizu. According to this account, a fisherman in Zhangzhou, now the Jiangxi province, was attacked by a large leaf-like animal, 13 feet wide and covered in circular sharp suckers. The fisherman died apparently of blood loss shortly after the attack.
Wow.
This is in the 9th century, baby.
Wow.
Talking hundreds of years ago,
Yeah,
there was this
hundreds
report.
of years ago.
There has been a report of this shizu as early as 2000,
Wow.
where a guy, I guess he's walking along the beach,
Yeah.
fishing. He sees something flat swimming in the water, and he's like, is that one of those shizu? Throws rocks at it, it swims away. You know.
Yeah.
Apparently they camped out, or they were night fishing, and he's taking a nap, and he hears a dog barking. He gets up, runs over there. The mother dog is biting and snapping and growling at this shizu, which has grabbed the puppy.
Oh,
Its
no.
puppy, and is trying to drag it back into the water. But apparently him and the mother dog beat on the shizu enough, it releases the puppy, but the puppy still died of blood loss.
Wow.
Because apparently it inflicted horrible wounds on this poor puppy, and the
Yeah.
puppy died.
Wow.
That's the latest report in 2000 in China. Now, some freshwater rays have spots, which is why some people in China think that the shiju and the cuero have multiple eyes. Because of those spots. Remember, we looked at those spots on the...
Yeah.
That's just throwing out an explanation as to why, how it might be a ray or it might be an octopus, so people think it has a lot of eyes. Because one of the reports is that it doesn't have hooks on the edges of its body, it has eyes. But that just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
How could it move around if it's banging its eyes on everything?
Yeah.
Plus, how would it know whether it's coming or going? You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
In other parts of South America, outside of Chile, people have talked for centuries about a creature called the hueque, which is basically a cuero. So because remember, it's the Mapuche people, the indigenous people, that talk about this cuero.
Right.
All the rest of the Chileans, Argentinians, and all the people are all around South America, they call it a hueque.
Oh,
and talk
okay.
about the same stories, baby.
Yeah.
And it's been going on for centuries. They'll say, don't go by that river, don't go by that inlet, don't go by that waterfall. A hueque lives there, and it'll get you. Again, some people hear that and go, it's just a cautionary tale. They don't want the kids by the water, whatever. How do we know, baby?
Yeah.
Again, how do we know?
Yeah.
So, it pretty much does it, baby.
Yeah, it does.
In conclusion, baby, what do you think about the cuero?
I think it's an octoquid.
An octoquid?
Yeah. A freshwater octoquid. I don't think it's a cryptid. How do you say that?
Cryptid.
I don't think it's a cryptid.
No.
I think it's a creature.
Well, see, I don't
think
think you understand what cryptid is. A cryptid is an unknown creature or species that hasn't been discovered by science.
Oh.
So people are seeing it
Okay, well.
for decades, baby. Pandas. Pandas were cryptids.
Oh, okay. Then
Because
never
people in
mind.
China reported seeing them. And the Chinese government's like, you guys
it
are
doesn't
crazy.
exist.
White and black teddy bear out in the bamboo.
Yeah.
You're nuts.
Yeah.
But eventually.
They came
And I
out.
think it took them decades to find
Yeah,
one.
it did. It did.
Same thing with the mountain gorilla.
Yeah.
Same thing with the coelacanth.
Yeah.
Same thing with a lot of different
Well,
things.
I don't think it's man-made.
Oh, you don't think it's like an experiment?
No. You know what, Victor? I don't think... I don't know why, but I don't think any water creatures are man-made. Except, well... No, I don't know. I don't think it's man-made. Of course, now with the dire wolves, who knows what man can make
Yeah, you were
that we're not paying
They were
attention to.
talking about that. That they were talking about that on Joe Rogan about
Yeah.
how they use DNA to bring back dire
Yeah, it could
pups.
be. Who knows? And you know what? It could adapt, like you said. It can adapt. Who knows?
Yeah, so the idea that the government isn't trying to create like some type of war super monsters or something,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
What
But
do you think it is?
I agree with you. I think it's a cephalopod. I think it's some unknown species of cephalopod.
So you think it's an octoquid too?
No, I don't think it's an octoquid. Well, I mean, if you're talking about what the vampire squid is, like a cross between an octopus and a squid, then yes, I agree with
That's
you.
what I think it is.
And is it so far-fetched that it could flatten itself
No.
and look like a mat or a hide?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
That could be where it camouflages itself as it's hunting.
And we saw the footage of the vampire squid, baby.
Yeah.
When you look along the edges, if instead of when you look at the undercarriage of it, show me where to see. You look at the undercarriage right there. That's where the tentacles are beneath that membrane that's covering them.
Yeah.
What if the membrane was just a little longer and went to the tips of the tentacles, and the tentacle, those little feelers and suckers, were along the outer edge of that hood or that membrane that it has?
Yeah.
Is it so far-fetched?
No.
I don't think it is.
No.
I don't.
Yeah.
And it would live in deep water. Baby, octopus live in caverns. They can squeeze into like little tiny crevices and stuff.
Yeah.
Even if one was there and science was trying to discover it, it'd be extremely hard. We also know squid can change the color of their skin and blend right into the bottom. Extremely difficult to find and to discover. Particularly when you don't have a lot of access to those lakes that are way out,
Right.
and they're really cold and stuff.
Yeah, who knows?
You got to worry about hypothermia. You got to wear special diving gear just to get in the water. So that's what I think it is. I think it's some type of unknown cephalopod.
Yeah.
About how it's aggressive to people, I don't know about all that. That might be part of the cautionary tale. But like I said, baby, there's not really any dispute on whether something's out there. The dispute is, what could it be?
Right.
I don't think it's a ray. I don't think it's a jellyfish.
No. Neither.
And I believe it's some type of cephalopod. That's
Yeah.
the only one that makes sense to me. It ticks all the boxes.
Yeah.
So that about does it, baby.
Yeah, it sure does.
Did you like it? Did you like the show?
I did like the show. It's really interesting.
What about the format where we actively looked at pictures and video? Did you like that better?
I did, because it made me participate more in I liked it.
Because you're actively seeing what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Me not just saying stuff and you're going, what are we talking about? Yeah. I liked it better too. Maybe we'll keep this kind of format. I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Listeners, thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting us. Go on our YouTube. Go on our Facebook. Like, subscribe. And I want to give out a thank you to Strange Familiars, Timothy Renner.
Yes.
Thanks for letting us go on your show.
Absolutely.
That was awesome. Both shows were awesome. So thank you, Timothy. And good night, everybody.
And again, just leave your comments in there. If you like the show, like and subscribe, and just continue to support us. We appreciate all the support that we've been getting. And as always, good night, everybody.